Today we're going to be looking at creepy TikToks about people who just vanished into thin air. I have a weird obsession with missing people. Like, I think it's very interesting but also very, very creepy. Because whenever somebody disappears, you know, something obviously happened. And it's either them who know or the person who did it.
So here's why people think this missing persons case and this creepy TikTok account are related. I'll be quick. Mother and daughter Katie and Ava Baldwin went missing from Texas in 2015. Viewers of the account Bebop and BB have been concerned of the welfare of the pair. There are similarities of the people in these images. Ava's father has been searching ever since she disappeared in 2015. The only trace they had was the mum's car, which was abandoned in a car park. Viewers have noticed locks, speakers, and help signals during the TikTokers' videos. The unknown whereabouts of the missing persons case and the unknown emergence of these TikTokers certainly relate. But the age of the girl, Ava, would now be 13, and I'm not sure if the girl in the TikTok is too young for that age. The mum certainly looks younger in the TikTok videos, but this could be makeup and video quality. What do you think about this situation?
I mean, honestly, that looks like her, doesn't it? I'll put a photo right up beside me, but you're telling me that it's not the mum. Also, I've noticed a lot of times with TikToks like that where people think there's like locks and like special signs that they like do to try to get help. A lot of times the TikTokers will do that on purpose, which is so sick. In music videos, there's like subliminal messages that make you think like they're part of the Illuminati. Basically to get you chatting about them, to get like a bit of gossip starting. But I have seen TikToks like that before. I swear I've seen a TikTok page where someone was pretending to be kidnapped. And like in the end they came out and said, oh, I was just bored, blah blah blah. And it's like, you don't do that. Like, you don't put out fake signals making it out like you're in trouble and then claim that it's a joke. But the mum's car was like found abandoned in 2015. It makes you think what actually happened. Like, maybe that is them or maybe it isn't. You know, obviously something happened with them too. You know, they went off somewhere. Maybe they decided to run away and start a new life, or maybe somebody like got them. And for all we know, they could be held captive, being made to make TikTok videos. Even though I don't think that's likely, because why would they put someone who's kidnapped in TikTok? I don't know, it's weird, isn't it?
Recent missing people cases, the case of Zhang. Zhang was born on the 21st of December 1990 in Fushan, China. She was a successful academic in the field of biology, and in 2017 travelled to the United States to conduct research on photosynthesis at the University of Illinois. She was engaged and planned to marry her fiancé in October 2017 once her year of research was complete. On the 9th of June in 2017, Zhang had a meeting at a property complex where she planned to sign a lease for a brand new apartment. But unfortunately, she would never make it to this appointment. Zhang needed to transfer buses to make it to the complex. She successfully caught her first bus but then missed her second. She was on the wrong side of the street, and so the bus didn't stop after she attempted to flag it down. The district later stated that it would have been against their policy to stop, as it encourages pedestrians to run into oncoming traffic. Zhang sent a text to the leasing agent at 1:39 p.m. to let them know that she'd be running late and that she'd arrive around 2:10 p.m. Whilst Zhang was waiting for the next bus, at around 2 p.m. a black Saturn Astra passed her at the bus stop. The car then did a U-turn and stopped where she was waiting at 2:03 p.m. After about a minute, she then got in the car and the car drove off. Her leasing agent then sent a text to her at 2:38 p.m, but Zhang never responded. She was then reported missing that evening at 9:24 p.m.
Okay, so that was the first bit of that TikTok. Basically, this woman was in America. She was meant to go to an apartment viewing to get like the apartment, and she missed the bus. I mean, that's freaky because, you know, she got into like a black van or like a black car. That's freaky. It makes you think what would happen if she was actually able to get to that bus in time. Oh, that's weird. That's why you never ever get into a car with someone you don't know. Even if like you recognize them, like if you're not that close with them, be very careful.
The local police department worked closely with the FBI to try and locate Zhang. They eventually offered a reward of $50,000 to anybody who knew anything about her whereabouts. And her family arrived in the US on the 17th of June, hoping to aid in the investigation. At first, the surveillance footage was too blurry for police to identify the number plate, but they identified 18 vehicles like the one in the video in the local area. One of these cars belonged to 27-year-old Brent Christensen, who was a former PhD student at Illinois University. He was in an open marriage with his wife that he married in 2011 and a girlfriend. Investigators soon interviewed Brent, who said he couldn't remember where he was the day of Zhang's disappearance. Further analysis of the CCTV footage revealed that the car's sunroof was similar to Brent's, and it had a cracked hubcap, which was noted on Brent's car as well. Investigators also noticed that the passenger's side door appeared to have been cleaned to a more diligent extent than the other vehicle doors. Brent's girlfriend was so certain of his innocence that she agreed to wear a recording device to try and clear his name. But Brent confessed to his girlfriend whilst on a memorial walk for Zhang that he had taken her to his apartment and held her there before murdering her. He also admitted to being a serial killer. And supposedly Yang was his 13th victim.
I'm sorry, what? Okay, first of all, that's bad that he picked someone up, took them to his apartment, and then took their life. He admitted to being a serial killer for 13 other people. Oh my god, that's into twist I thought we were gonna have. That's awful. Nah, that's so freaky. That's why I'm so terrified to get into a relationship, because obviously he's in an open marriage, he's got a wife and a girlfriend. I think he's the best man ever, you know, he's a smart man, he's got a PhD, and then it turns out that he's like killed multiple people. Nah, that's so freaky. Ugh.
Brent was found guilty and charged to a life sentence without the possibility of parole. Sadly, due to the severity of the crime, it was not possible to retrieve Yang's body. And no other victims of Brent Christensen have been found. Be sure to follow for more true crime.
So the 13 other victims, I don't know where they are. That's crazy. How long's that been going on for? I mean, I don't know how you take somebody's life. Imagine 13 people in total. Yeah, again, imagine falling in love with someone like that. Like, that's so weird. Nah, I don't like that. It makes me feel really uncomfortable. The fact he seemed like such a normal guy and then he turned out to do something like that. R.I.P. to that poor girl and then 12 other people. How long that been going on for? Like, did they not realise 12 other people went missing in the area? And how did you get away with it for that long? Nah, that's awful.
This is one of the strangest missing person cases I have ever heard of. Stephen Kibacki vanished without a trace after skiing out onto the frozen Lake Michigan in 1978, only to wake up in a field 700 miles away 15 months later with no memory of what happened. At the time, Stephen was 23 years old and a student at Hope College in Holland, Michigan. He was known to be an avid outdoorsman and had recently climbed mountains while studying abroad in Europe. In February of 1978, Stephen set off for a solo cross-country skiing trip, starting near the town of Saugatuck. On February 20th, Stephen skied over Lake Michigan, which wasn't unusual as he visited the area many times before. The next day, a couple of snowmobilers found an abandoned set of skis and a backpack and contacted authorities to report a possible missing person. Authorities quickly found that the contents of the bag and skis belonged to Steve, and a search and rescue mission ensued. Investigators found a 200-yard trail of footprints in the snow leading past the edge of the lake, which ended abruptly. Investigators concluded that Stephen likely fell through the ice to his death, even though the ice was unbroken.
Okay, so that's the first part. Basically, he's went out, he's went skiing, and then something's happened. That would be so freaky. Like, imagine coming across that. There was actually a woman recently who went missing in the UK called Nicola. Her dog was found basically running around like a park, and like her phone was on a bench. They still haven't found her. Like today, what day is it? 17th of February. They thought for a really long time that she had maybe fallen or jumped into the river and, you know, drowned. Turns out that didn't happen. She's not there. And like, it's kind of weird because it's a similar situation like that. It's like she just abruptly disappeared and we still don't know the answers.
But then 15 months later, on May 5th, 1979, Stephen woke up in a grassy field in Pittsfield, Massachusetts, which is 720 miles from where he went missing, with no recollection of what had happened since that day at Lake Michigan. Stephen found himself to be wearing clothes that he didn't recognize and had a backpack filled with maps and hitchhiking signs showing he traveled to Sacramento, San Francisco, Reno, Chicago, and Utah. He also had $40 in cash, new glasses, sneakers, and a t-shirt from a marathon in Wisconsin.
Okay, so it turns out he's not dead. Basically, he woke up in a field like hundreds of miles away. That makes me think that there is aliens or like something where like there's a glitch in the system where you can just disappear. That is so weird. So basically this man was presumed dead and it turns out he was miles away and he'd like traveled all over America hitchhiking. Did something happen maybe where like his brain went a bit weird, like dementia or like, I don't know, Alzheimer's, and like he just like magically was taken over? Are you ever doing something and you kind of like zone out and you forget you're doing it, but like your body is so used to doing it, it just randomly does it? People talk about how sometimes whenever they're driving they zone out and then they just arrive home, but they don't remember like driving home. It's kind of like they zone out and then snap back into it. Do you reckon that could have happened here? It's like weird, like he walked hundreds of miles. I mean, that's quite crazy. Like, this is very weird.
Stephen said that he didn't know how much time had passed until he bought a newspaper and saw the date. He somehow then found his way to his aunt's house in Great Barrington, which is about 20 miles from where he woke up. He was then reunited with the rest of his family. Stephen said the last thing he remembers about the day he went missing was feeling cold and scared of being lost in the frozen darkness. There was speculation that he may have been sick or unhealthy, but Stephen insists he was in a healthy frame of mind when he set off for the skiing trip. I saw an article that stated at the time of Stephen's disappearance, some detectives had doubts about the drowning theory. And because of this, they had sent his dental records to Chicago to see if he might be among John Wayne Gacy's unidentified victims.
Okay, so if you don't know, that man is basically serial killer yet, man. Basically dressed up as clown. I think he actually like cooked them in the barbecue, I'm not sure. So basically they were thinking maybe he was one of his victims. Oh, that's weird. But the guy did say, you know, he wasn't in a bad frame of mind, but like that happened. It's like, how can that happen where you like sleepwalking? Or in like a coma where you don't remember? That's quite weird, because like imagine if that happened to one of us. I mean, it happened to him, it could happen to all of us.
Some speculate Stephen's strange disappearance has to do with the Lake Michigan Triangle, which is an area between Manitowoc in Wisconsin and Ludington and Benton Harbor in Michigan. This has been been the site of many unexplained air disasters, shipwrecks, and disappearances dating back centuries. We may never know what truly happened that day, but Stephen is alive and happily living in the Pacific Northwest and is now an author.
I mean, at least he's alive, but it's quite crazy to think that, like, he doesn't remember it. How long was he missing for? A year? So basically he went out, set out skiing, go walking, you know, just do the usual thing. Something happened where, like, he looked like he fell into a lake, and then he randomly woke up in a field with new clothes, new shoes, new glasses, maps, everything, like, a year later. That's so weird. It's like maybe he was ill but he didn't realize it, like Alzheimer's, or like something took over, like he was in a coma, like I don't know, like his inner brain took over. It's weird. I don't know, that makes me feel uncomfortable, because yet again, if it happened to him, it could happen to us. Or maybe it was aliens, or like a glitch in the Matrix. I mean, you don't know, people go missing all the time. For all we know, I could be next.
On July 31st, 1960, the charred body of a little girl was found, but it wouldn't be until 2022 that she'd be identified. But we still don't know what truly happened to her.
Okay, so this girl was found basically 62 years ago, and we finally found out her identity. 62 years, that's a long time. Oh my god, imagine her family if she got siblings that basically went their whole life without knowing what happened to their sister. And yet again, the person who probably done that has died, you know, they got away with it. It's quite freaky, isn't it?
A man stumbled upon her burnt and partially buried body in Congress, Arizona. Her nails and toenails had been painted red and she was fully clothed. And her sandals looked like they'd been handmade by cutting an adult size. 2 sets of footprints recovered indicated that she was walked to the site of her murder. Police recovered a rusty pocket knife near her body, but it was too late to determine her COD. Her hair was brown, possibly dyed auburn, and she had a full set of intact baby teeth. And this made the medical examiner question her true age. In the absence of an identity, she was given the grim nickname Little Miss Nobody. In 2022, a genetic genealogy company called Othram Inc. correctly identified the body as that of missing child Sharon Gallegos. Sharon had lived in a low-income, multi-generational household in Alamo Gordo, New Mexico. On July 21st, 1960, a dark green car had pulled up along Sharon and her 2 cousins as they played near their house. A woman described as a short and hefty Caucasian rolled down the window and said that she would buy Sharon candy and clothes if she got in the car. When Sharon refused, she got out and dragged Sharon into the vehicle.
Okay, so yeah, it's quite obvious she was kidnapped, and that the kidnapper's done that. Yet again, how could you be so evil? Like, what is the meaning? I always wonder why people kidnap people. I mean, there is some people who do, you know, obviously for their own evil reasons, you know, to hurt the child. But like, why? Were you trying to take her organs? Were you trying to raise her? Like, obviously not, because you burnt her. It's just crazy to think that there's people out there who do that, and they're normal people as well. For all you know, it could be you, it could be your sister, your friends. It could even be me. I mean, it's not, but like, you don't know. It's weird.
Sharon's horrified cousins also report seeing a man sitting in the front seat and 2 children in the back.
Oh.
And this green car had actually been stalking Sharon leading up to this abduction.
Okay, so she had been stalked and there was 2 other children in the car. Were they other victims? I mean, a lot of times kidnappers will actually use other children to lure in their victims. I watched a lot of Criminal Minds, and there was an episode where basically a child ran up to someone, you know, screaming, "Oh my god, where's my mummy? You know, help me, help me, help me." And then like a kidnapper grabbed the person's child whenever they weren't looking, basically as a distraction. It's quite crazy, isn't it? It's like they really do work in networks like that.
A dark green car had been seen outside Sharon's church and house. At church, a woman had been walking around asking about Sharon and her mom. And a neighbor had answered a knock at the door to find the same woman standing there asking if Sharon and her family lived there. And this is believed to be the same woman that abducted Sharon.
Okay, so yeah, this seems very planned to me. They really wanted her. But for what reason? Yet again, it's just evil, freaky, and creepy. And that woman's probably dead, so she's never actually gonna go to jail.
And what's weird is she was abducted 500 miles away from where her body would be found 10 days later.
Oh.
Sharon was initially brought up as the possible identity of Little Miss Nobody in the weeks following, but she was ruled out because the body was believed to be of someone older than Sharon. The clothes she was wearing when she was abducted were never found, but of course the abductors probably gave her a change of clothes to wear when they took her. While Sharon has her name back, her kidnappers are yet to be identified, so if you have any information, then please call the number above.
I mean, let's be completely honest, if it was 60-something years ago, let's say they were like 20, they're gonna be 80, they're probably dead. And that's really, really sad, isn't it? You know, it kind of makes me angry to think that people done this and they were able to get away with it by like dying without getting caught. But yeah, she was basically kidnapped and her like body was found 500 miles away. Why? Like, what was the reason? And who done it? And what were the other kids in the car for? Were they soon to be victims? That's just weird. It's like, that's why you need to keep an eye on your kids. Keep an eye on what they're doing, who they're friends with, who they're talking to, because you don't know who could be planning to take them.
Have you guys heard about the disappearance and murder of Maya Miliete? On January 9th, 2021, 39-year-old and mother of 3 Maya Miliete was reported missing by her sister and a brother-in-law. The last time Maya was seen by her family was on January 7th, which was 2 days before the family set to travel to Big Bear for her daughter's birthday. Maya's family became extremely worried when she stopped answering phone calls and text messages, so that's when they went to her house to look for her. Maya's husband, Larry Miliete, tried to convince her family to avoid calling police, and he insisted that Maya probably went out to blow off some steam after a fight they had.
Okay, that does seem a bit suspicious. So basically this woman's missing and the husband's saying, oh yeah, don't call the police, I'm sure she'll be fine. That does seem a bit suspicious, and now that we know obviously something happened to her, it's even more suspicious.
Larry and Maya had been having issues in their marriage for a while, and her family was aware of that, but they never thought that he would be capable of hurting her. During the investigation, Larry became distant to Maya's family, and he did not want to participate in the searches and even went about getting a lawyer.
But that is just so unbelievably weird. Like, that's not normal. Even if you hate someone or like you went through a divorce, surely you'd want to figure out where they are. I mean, we're only halfway through the video. For all we know, he could be involved. It's just weird, isn't it? You know, he's being distant, he's not helping out. Like, this is literally your wife, the mother of your children.
Investigators also found that Larry was in contact with a spellcaster, and evidence showed that he tried to hex Maya, hoping she would get in an accident, break her bones so that she would not leave him. Investigators also learned that the last call Maya made before she went missing was to a divorce attorney. Even though Larry denied having anything to do with Maya's disappearance, a neighbor's surveillance camera captured what sounded like gunshots in their house the night Maya went missing. Larry was arrested on October 19th, 2021 and charged with first-degree murder and felony possession of an assault weapon, but he pleaded not guilty and insists that Maya left on her own. Maya's family is extremely heartbroken because not only have they not located Maya, but her 3 kids are left without a mother and a father.
Exactly, like that's weird. I mean, he was acting suspicious. Usually if someone acts like that, it's because they've got something to do with it. It's just weird. It's like, why would you do that? Look, you get an argument, you break up, you divorce. That's obviously gonna be very hard. You might want the person dead, but you don't actually do it. The fact that like gunshots were heard in his house and like she disappeared and he still claims that she just ran away. I mean, nah, that just ain't the case. What actually needs to happen is like that house needs to get searched, completely scrubbed down. But yet again, his argument with his wife and the gunshots has taken her life away. His children have lost their mother. Like, that's serious. And it's also the fact that like whenever he's with the family, he's like, oh, I'm sure she'll be fine. Like, obviously not, because she has something to do with it.
This is 3-year-old Riker Webb. Riker went missing in Montana, and after 48 hours, they found him. Seemingly doing pretty well overall. This gives us more of an understanding of where he went missing and where they found him. So 2 days later, they found him almost 2.5 miles from where he started. Riker was found inside an abandoned cabin in a lawnmower bag trying to keep himself warm. No injuries on him whatsoever. Interestingly, his parents originally said he was 4 years old, and then they corrected that later and said no, he was 3, and they weren't even able to give police the clothing he had last been seen in. This case is bizarre to me because I don't understand how he survived this whole time on his own.
I mean, yeah, first of all, he was also found inside like an abandoned house or like something. I mean, them photos were very, very creepy. As you can see, this was like him before versus after. Like, in that after photo, very, very scary. I did hear a lot of people online saying that that's not him. You do have to keep in mind, you know, this child was missing for 48 hours without water and food. You know, they were going to start to look a bit weird. It's kind of freaky, isn't it? Like, that photo makes you feel a bit uneasy. But the thing that's weird is that his parents got like his birth date wrong. Like, they were saying that he was 4, but then he was 3, and then like they didn't have photos of him in the clothing. I don't know, something about that suspicious, but thank God he was alive. Maybe he could tell them what happened. Like, I don't know, someone else could have been involved. It's just weird he was found inside of an abandoned place, inside of like a bag. Like, I don't know, something about that's a bit weird.
Welcome to another very confusing disappearance case. 47-year-old Janet James was missing and eventually found on a fire trail in Sydney. When they found her, she was covered in scratches and abrasions all over her body. But that's not the weird part. The weird part is that her clothes were found on her body
backwards.
Oh.
Every single piece of clothing she had was on backwards. Originally, this was being looked at as foul play, but for some reason, police have decided that it's not, and it was an accident. The reason that it's been ruled an accident isn't very clear, and I also could not find a picture of Janet anywhere, no matter how hard I looked. I just don't understand how all of her clothes are on backwards, or why. And why was her entire body covered in scratches?
The scratches part could be like animals, like, you know, animals like were scratching at her. But the clothing is weird. All of her clothes were on back to front. So I'm assuming that's pants, trousers, hoodie, t-shirt, sock, and no foul play was involved. And also no photos of her, so we don't really know who she is. That's weird. Like, imagine coming across something like that. Like, it's actually quite a fear of mine. Imagine you're out and about and you find like a body. It's like, what do you do? Me personally, I'd freak out. But yet again, scratches could be animals, you know, trying to get at her. She could have been like attacked by something. We don't know how she passed through, which is kind of weird. And yet again, the clothing on back to front. Nah, that's a bit weird. And yet again, guys, it's 10 p.m. at night and I'm about to go for a walk. Well, anyways, guys, that was some TikTok missing people. If you want to see me do more creepy videos like this, let me know, definitely will. Press the bigger and subscribe, and I'll see you all tomorrow for another video.